come at the exact time. So Jagannath had his little camera and said, oh, let's do a video and show all these flowers. And then I started talking about how this is like udipan, stimuli for Vrindavan. Because all the fragrances are in the air, right? Beautiful flowers, a little reflection for Vrindavan. Right? So we should do like that, because Gurudev told us that when you see any forest, then you should try to remember Vrindavan. If you see any river, even Gurudev wouldn't do it only with rivers. I remember in Singapore, he was staying in 17th floor, one big apartment building overlooking the entire bay, the ocean, where all the ships come in, And he thought, this is Yamuna Devi. Wherever he would see, any hill, this is Govardhan. So I was thinking, oh, this Hendricks Park, it's on the hill, and it's like Govardhan. Govardhan is a hill. And we hear the descriptions of how beautiful the caves in Govardhan, and that there's many beautiful flowering trees and fruit trees and beautiful birds chirping. And so it's there at the park. So as you're walking around, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And how happy, how pleasurable. So our gurus have given us this life. No one else gave this to us. They've come to give it to us, and they've come to give us the nectar that we should drink. So we should learn how to drink that nectar every day. Make sure that we get enough dosage of that nectar, that we don't get dried. We want to remain very wet, very moist. So these songs are for that. All the literatures they've given us are for that, and especially Harinam, because Harinam is the key. If we chant Harinam seriously and sincerely, they will open up. These literatures open up, So that's a little reflection on this song, Gauranga Bolite, Habe. So we can sing this song now and think for our own selves. What is the meaning? What are we singing about?
No pressure.
Yeah, I was going to pass the baton to Taylor, but where did he go? He sings this so nicely. You want to sing it, Maharaj?
Gauranga Bolite Habe Kulaka Sharira Hari Hari Bolite Yane Habe Nira Gauranga Bolite Habe Kulaka Sharira Hari Hari Bolite Yane Habe Nira Bolite Habe Kulaka Sharira Hari Hari Bolite Yane Babe Gauranga Bolite Habe Kulaka Sharira Hari Hari Bolite Yane Habe Karuna Habe
Lord
Narottam Das Thakur ki
Jai.
Shri Deva ki
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Mukam Kuroti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Vancha Kalpaturubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swaganantrikam Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauranga Namah Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashvacha Krishna Bhakti Pradidevi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare My Dandavat pranams at the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev Nitya Lila Pravishtom Vishnu Padas Tatarasata Shri Shilaisi Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada My Dandavat pranams, lotus feet of my Siksha Gurudevs Nitya Lila Pravishtom Vishnu Padas Tatarasata Shri Shila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj and Nitya Lila Pravishtom Vishnu Padas Tatarasata Shri Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, our beloved Guru. My Dandavat pranams to all my Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga. My Dandavat pranams to all the Vaishnavas, Vaishnavas. So, I want to read something that is inspiring in the same lines what we've been discussing, and came to my mind Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu. Do we have a copy of that book? Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu? Is it nearby? So there's a section here discussing Raganuga Bhakti. This book, of course, you know, is written by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and he appeared 200 years after the six Goswamis. But at that time, already, the inner moods of the teachings of the six Goswamis, they were gradually being contested. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur had to, again, reinstate those teachings and save the pure flow of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's conceptions, particularly the conceptions about Parakiya Ras. So he has gone down in history of our Guru Parampara as saving that deviation from happening and keeping the pure line flowing. And he did this through giving very, very in-depth overviews of the Goswami's literatures. Like Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Rupa Goswami. He wrote Sindhu Bindu. So that you could take a drop of that and understand how to read the book of Rupa Goswami. How to read it. How to understand it. He did that with the next sequel of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is called Ujjvala Nilamani. Ujjvala Nilamani is the quintessence of Rupa Goswami's writings regarding the entire description of the pastimes of Krishna in Madhurya Ras with the Braja Gopis. And anyone that wants to enter into must read Ujjvala Nilamani. So he gave an overview of that book in the form of Ujjvala Nilamani Khan.
Kiran.
Kiran, yes, Kiran. Means what? A ray. A ray of this bright bluish jewel, gem, Ujjvala Nilamani. That means Krishna and his moon, like a beam, Kiran. And then Srila Sanatana Goswami's most important book, Brihad Bhagavatamritam, first book written by the Goswamis. All other Goswami literature is based upon that book. Yeah? And that is a very great epic literature. So he gave Brihad Bhagavatamritam Kana. Means a particle, little particle of that. So he's famous for those three summary study books, so that you can begin to study the literatures of the Goswamis, which have all the treasures and all the wealth. So he's directing you. Here's the guide map. Here's where the treasure is. Here's how you begin to mine that treasure. And here's a little samples of what you're going to find. But then you have to go and do that in your bhajan. So, and also Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur wrote many other literatures, some of them given to us by our Gurudev, and commentaries, tikas, Srimad Bhagavatam especially. And Srila Gurudev, he so much loved the writings of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So he gave this important book, and we had already read a summary study given to us by Srila Prabhupada of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which he gave in the beginning of his movement, called what? Nectar of Devotion. So, that was very amazing how Srila Prabhupada opened up the whole pathway of bhakti. He said, this is the handbook of the Krishna consciousness movement. Handbook. This is how you do bhakti. This is what Krishna consciousness movement is all about. And he gave it in a language without too much Sanskrit terminologies and so forth. He made it understandable. So, this book is very famous in our Gaudiya Mat and in the Sampradaya, because this makes it clear how you will understand this pathway of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Rupa Goswami gave all the definition verses for every aspect of bhakti, all the different levels of bhakti, and describing each level. What is prem, what is bhav, what is sadhana, what is a sadhak, what are the experiences of rasa, what is rasa constituted of, all of these. This is the definition literature for the Krishna consciousness movement. So, because there are two types of bhakti for the newcomers to the pathway, the jiva souls who are fortunate to come into connection with sadhu, with guru, with shastra. So there are two pathways of bhakti in the stage called sadhana bhakti. Srila Rupa Goswami explained that there are three stages of bhakti. Sadhana bhakti in the stage of practice. Bhav bhakti in the stage of ecstatic emotion, where natural sentiment comes automatically, spontaneously. Bhav bhakti, where one has realized one's internal swarup. Very high level. The definition of bhav is also given. What is bhav bhakti? And third stage of bhakti, prem bhakti. And prem bhakti is the vast ocean, and so many varieties and tasting of rasa. So in the stage of sadhana bhakti, which is relevant for almost all, they will have to understand how to do bhakti, how to do sadhana bhakti. And there are two types of sadhana bhakti. What are they? Vaidhi bhakti means regulated practice of bhakti. Vaidhi. Accepting rules and regulations, following them in your life. And when someone becomes very fortunate and blessed, then the other type of bhakti may manifest. That is called rag anuga bhakti, where a spontaneous attraction, without being forced by the various rules given in Shastra, but spontaneous flow will come. And that bhakti is called rag anuga because it is following the moods, how the eternal associates of Krishna, who are living with him in the transcendental spiritual world, who also descended with him onto this earthly plane 5,000 years ago, how they love Krishna. What are their moods? Their moods are called rag, because rag means a spontaneous attachment, which is there is a continual thirst to taste that object of one's love. Rag. And there, every Brijvasi has this, because they're all made of this. Their bodies are not material like in this material world. And their very form, it is made of rag, love for Krishna. So they're called rag atmik. Rag atmik. Their very atma is full of love for Krishna in one of the particular rasas and relationships, as parental affection, as sakya ras, friendly, and as madhurya. These three are all in Vrindavan. All of Krishna's eternal associates are serving him eternally, and their praying, they are always thirsty. They never feel that their thirst is quenched. They want to love Krishna more and more and more. They never think about themselves. Only Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. So that is Vrindavan. And in this world, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came to give this pathway to the jivas. Rag Marg Bhakti. The pathway of spontaneous devotion to Krishna, following in the mood of the eternal associates. So that bhakti, which is given in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is imbued even in the stage of Vaidhi Bhakti. Although we are learning rules and regulations, how to rise early in the morning, how to chant our mantras, studying Shastra, following the 64 limbs of Bhakti in a regulated fashion. But in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these are all imbued with this direction, like in the song Gauranga Bolite, Habe, aspiring. Oh, when will it happen to me that I spontaneously feel like this? You see? Aspirational. So this is different than the Vaidhi Bhakti that was given by the 4 Vaishnavacharyas previously, which was very much in the mood of awe and reverence in Vaikuntha, worshipping Lakshmi Narayan. So in order to be qualified to practice one of these 2 types of bhakti, there is one essential element that someone must possess. And what is that?
First is a guru, but then greed.
Shraddha. Shraddha. Without Shraddha, someone cannot practice bhakti. And what is Shraddha? Ado Shraddha. Srila Rupa Goswami writes in his verse defining the different stages of bhakti. He says, Ado Shraddha. At first, in the beginning, there is Shraddha. So Shraddha means strong faith, strong belief, very confident. What confidence in what? Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kohe Sudridha Nishchoy. Here the definition is given by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. This word Shraddha, the word Shraddha, Shraddha Shabde, Vishwas Kohe Sudridha Nishchoy. There are 3 adjectives given. Vishwas, Sudridha, Nishchoy. Each one of these mean strong belief. Dridha, very firm belief. Sudridha, not just dridha, sudridha, very strong belief. Nishchoy, completely convinced, firm conviction. Shraddha Shabde, Vishwas, firm belief. In what? Krishna Bhakti Koile Sarva Karma Kritahoy. Oh. Complete faith that if I do bhakti to Krishna, all other things that need to be achieved in this world, they'll be accomplished. I don't have to separately endeavor. And also, if I don't do bhakti to Krishna, then what? No matter what I achieve in this world, all my different karmas, all my different actions and endeavors, is useless. This is called Shraddha. Now Shraddha is in different degrees, but some little seed of Shraddha will be there for someone who comes to this pathway. Otherwise, they would not come. That's why when we see newcomers coming, we greet them as a soul who is destined to come to Krishna in this life. We honor. Yes. Because the jivas who come to this pathway, they have sukriti. They've gained sukriti in previous lives. And somehow, they now in this life have this shraddha in their heart.
What is sukriti?
Sukriti means, just like in this world, if you do good, they call it good karma. I'm explaining this word sukriti for newcomers. The senior devotees here know what is sukriti. Every action in this world has some reaction. So if we do good karma, we do good action, we get rewarded. We get some good beneficial result for us. But there are different types of good actions. Like if I help a person who is poverty-stricken and I give a donation, this is some good act. So in the future, something will come to me. Nowadays they like to use the term, what goes around comes around. So yes, that is true. It will come. Your actions will bring the reaction. So, but Sukriti is a special type of action which one is blessed to perform in any lifetime before this one and in this lifetime. And there's a type of Sukriti which is called unknowing, that you're doing it without even knowing that you're doing it. It's called agyata Sukriti. Just like if you're a dog, in the body of a dog, so in that dog finds some food on the ground and eats it, right? But it happens to be food that was offered to Krishna. So it's called Krishna Prasadam. What happens to the dog? The dog gets Sukriti. This is a special mercy of the Lord, that even in the lower species, they can acquire Sukriti, unknowingly. And what happens to that Sukriti? It collects up in a kind of bank account. You know, you have this bank account, all of us have this. We don't see it, but there is a record of all of our past actions. It's there in our subtle body. It's there within the universal controllers. And the Lord, who is called Ishvara Paramatma in the heart, He knows all. He knows all of our actions. So for the fortunate souls, when they acquire Sukriti, then what happens? That Sukriti develops deep impressions in the heart and gradually leads them to perform actions knowingly, consciously. So those persons who come to the pathway of this transcendental knowledge, it is understood that they have some Sukriti, and you will be able to see a particular temperament in them. Different temperament and attitude in them. They're interested. They're seeking. They're seeking spiritual knowledge. They're seeking answers to the questions of life in this world. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that in the human society, such persons are rare. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye. Out of thousands of humans, one may endeavor for spiritual perfection. So those who are coming to this pathway, they are called Sukritina. They have Sukriti from previous life. And in this life also. And Krishna says there are 4 types. 4 types of pious persons who have Sukriti. They come to me. So, I won't go into that. That's a separate discussion. But point is that when this develops, then one comes and is attracted to come to the association of sadhus. What is a sadhu? A sadhu is a saintly person who is genuinely practicing spiritual life. They have transcendental knowledge. They live their life for attaining spiritual perfection. And sadhus are of many different levels as well. So in the association of a sadhu, such a person, now what happens is faith comes, shraddha, by hearing from the sadhu, faith comes. And when that faith becomes stronger, then automatically one understands, yes, this is what I should do. I should serve Krishna. Srila Gurudev explained, Srila Rupa Goswami explains that the outward symptom of this shraddha being in the heart, what is the outward symptom that one can tell that someone has shraddha in their heart? That they're interested to do sharanagati in their life. They're interested to practice surrendering to Krishna. They're interested to practice the 6 limbs of sharanagati. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulya vivarjana. They want to do everything that is favorable, anukul, for practicing bhakti, and pratikulya vivarjana. They also want to give up everything that is unfavorable. you'll see the symptom in someone that has Shraddha. They will be willing to adjust their lives because they understand, I need to do service to Krishna. I believe that I must serve Krishna, I must do bhakti. So therefore gradually they adjust their lives so that I can enter into the life of serving Krishna. So that Shraddha is very important. And the Shraddha is like a seed that is planted in the heart. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he used the example of a vine. Yeah? So we know that vines, when they start from the seed form, then gradually they grow into what is called a creeper, right? And they start creeping against a wall or against a tree like this, and they keep growing. Keep growing, growing, growing. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used this example, that in the heart of a fortunate soul, the creeper, the seed of this creeper of devotion, called the Bhakti Lata Bij, it is there in the heart. And by watering it daily, just like if you water a plant, then gradually it can grow. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu vividly described this to Rupa Goswami, that gradually this creeper will grow, and it will become stronger and stronger as it grows. But in the beginning, it's very tender, very delicate, and is very susceptible to being harmed. So, therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave very specific instructions how to look after this seed and this growing creeper. That one should always perform the process of hearing and chanting. He said, Shravan Kirtan Jole. Jole means water. Shravan Kirtan Jole. So, the water of hearing about Krishna and chanting about Krishna. Shravan Kirtan Jole. That should always be Korya Sechan. One should always be placing this water on the creeper, again and again and again. And also, there's another thing that gardeners have to do if they want their plant to grow nicely. Now they have to take defensive measures. What is that? Weeds will come. Yes? How many of you have done gardening work? Oregonians are famous for nature gardening. So you know that weeds come, do they not? Weeds grow up. Where are the weeds coming from? No one planted them there, did they? No, they're just there. They're there in seed form, they're hidden.
Buried.
Yeah, and what happens is, when you start to water your nice creeper, they also come. They pop up all around. And then what happens? They start drinking all that water, right? And if there's too many of those weeds, what happens to your nice little plant? It withers. Why? Because it's not getting enough water, right? All the weeds are taking the water. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, now you have to become a good gardener, and you have to do weeding. And how to do that? You can't just cut it off at the surface, can you? What happens when you cut a weed off at the surface? It goes right back, right? It's the nature of the weeds. So what do you have to do?
Get it at the root.
Root. You have to uproot it completely. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu vividly described, and Rupa Goswami has expanded that, what are all these different weeds. And anyone who is on this pathway of bhakti can attest to this fact by their own experience, that the weeds will come up and you'll see them. And then it depends what you do at that point, how you're going to advance, how your creeper is going to grow. Because if you're neglectful, then some diminishment comes. It's a very scientific process. You can gauge your own self. So therefore our acharyas, they are describing this pathway of bhakti for all the jivas in this Kali Yuga, how to do bhakti. And they have simplified this process. They have made it very clean. very streamlined for the souls in this Kali Yuga. And each Acharya is giving more and more insights into how to apply it practically in your life. So what has been given in this book by Rupa Goswami, he's describing all the different 64 limbs of bhakti. Because bhakti yoga has 9 main parts. We told the other day in one class when Prahlad Maharaj was describing Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam. So there are 9 practices of bhakti, but those 9 are expanded into 64. Okay? So in this book, it describes all the different practices of bhakti yoga, how to apply them in your life. And then gradually, it describes all the different types of anti-bhakti activities. There's also 64. They're called aparad. Aparad means offenses. So if those offenses are done, then what happens? Your bhakti diminishes. So I want to just enter a little, I don't know the time.
7:04.
Okay, so we have time. I'll do that very much.
And we're going to have a Sundar Arti.
Okay.
We're going to do that at 7:30. That way we
Okay.
can take by 10 till 8 or so.
Okay.
It won't be too late.
So when we become familiar with the aparads, and we analyze our own life, and there's different types of aparads. There's aparads, offenses to the holy name of Krishna. There's offenses to the holy dham of Krishna. There's offenses to the deity of Krishna. There's offenses to the Vaishnavas. Various types. And when we learn what these offenses are, and we sincerely try to avoid them, and we sincerely try to practice the limbs of bhakti nicely, then that gradually advances us. So from that shraddha, and then comes sadhu sangha, association of sadhus. So a person newly coming into the path, then from the association of sadhus, 2 things will happen: siksha and diksha. Siksha means spiritual instructions. And when one has sufficiently understood those and is trying to apply them in one's life, then there will be an awakening of the awareness that I need to have the shelter of a great Vaishnava to guide me. I must accept Sri Guru. I must accept spiritual master to guide me in my spiritual practices. And that is written all throughout the Shastras. That through the mercy of Guru, through the mercy of spiritual master, then one receives the mercy of Krishna. And the spiritual master is also considered to be a manifestation of Krishna, a manifestation of the Supreme Lord in this world, for helping the conditioned souls. So sadhu sangha, then comes siksha and diksha, and then by that one begins to adopt in one's own life what is called bhajan kriya. Bhajan kriya means all the kriyas, all the activities which constitute bhajan, how one can advance in devotional service to Krishna. That bhajan kriya process goes on for a very long time in one's life. And one goes through many, many different experiences in the pathway of bhajan, trying to sincerely chant the holy names of Krishna, trying to perform all the most important activities in one's own spiritual life. And what happens when one practices this bhajan kriya process? Then comes anartha nivritti. Anartha means what? Anartha. Artha means something that is necessary for us, something that is desirable. We have artha, we have needs. But anartha means not needed, unnecessary. The reason why we're in this material world is because we have many anarthas. Yes. The jivas in the material world who have forgotten Krishna, they are full of anarthas, and they don't know, they're not aware that these anarthas are keeping me separated from the Lord. So those anarthas are analyzed in this book as being of 4 categories, 4 different types of anarthas, and there are also within each category 4 different types. So 4 times 4, 16. So understanding and analyzing those anarthas and doing bhajan kriya, gradually they're removed. That is called anartha nivritti. Purified, more purified, more purified. This is a purification process. Without becoming pure, we cannot meet the Supreme Pure. Srila Prabhupada used to use an example. If you want to enter into fire, then you have to become fire. You have to become fire-like. Otherwise you cannot enter fire. So if you want to enter into the supreme atmosphere of the supreme pure being, where everything there is pure, then you yourself also have to become purified. So, how do you purify? Gold, for example. How is gold purified?
Refined?
Purified. Refined. How? What is the process?
Heating and hammering.
Yes. Gold, in its crude raw state, it is gradually heated very much, right? And then there is a hammering process. And this brings out various other elements and brings only the pure gold out. Same way with iron, right? When this is like a blacksmith, you know, maybe we see in the movies sometimes. We don't see it nowadays. They have big steel mills and everything, but the ancient method, you had a blacksmith, right? And what did he do? He had a big fire, very, very hot, and he put the iron rods into the fire, right? And then he's beating. And what's happening? Sparks are flying, and the iron is red hot, you know? And he's beating and beating and beating. And by this beating, what happens? All the other elements, alloys they're called, alloys, they all come out. And then you're left with steel, right? That's why they call it unalloyed steel, without alloys. But our Srila Prabhupada liked that word, unalloyed. He actually saw that in a billboard when he first came to America, and he was contemplating, because he had been for some months struggling alone, and he was thinking, you know, should I go back to India? The ship that I came across, it'll be coming on this schedule. And he was thinking like that. But then he turned and he saw a billboard, and the billboard was advertising from some steel mill, steel company, unalloyed steel. And then Prabhupada took that as a signal from Krishna. Okay, I'm staying. No other interest, no separate interest. Does not matter how much inconvenience, how much suffering I have to undergo. I am staying. I have to carry out the mission of my spiritual master. So Krishna sent a little signal to him like that. This is how the pure devotees, they always receive signals from Krishna in this world, through so many channels. They recognize how Krishna is inspiring in this way and in that way. So that unalloyed steel is representative of the purification process for our soul, because there are these anarthas, and they're alloys. we have to get rid of those alloys and become unalloyed. Then we can have what is called unalloyed love, unalloyed devotion. So, if we practice this process, and especially the powerful chanting of Krishna's holy names, which is the prime process in this Kali Yuga age that we're living in, if we practice that very seriously and sincerely, and we serve under the guidance of pure Vaishnavas, then what will happen? Nashtak prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Your bhakti will gradually manifest in the form of nishta. Nishta means that now your shraddha that was growing from a little seed, now it's grown up quite adequately, where it can stand on its own. It's not fully grown, but now it's strong. Like a tree, or what they call them, saplings, when they can be transplanted, they're quite strong already. So in this way, the stage of nishta is very essential. Very essential. Because most of the anarthas are now gone. Not all. It says there, prayeshu, nashta prayeshu, means almost. Prayeshu. So when those anarthas are almost removed, a good bulk of them, then what happens? Now, these anarthas, they no longer hamper us. And that's why, in our song, Gauranga Bolite Habe, Narottam Das Thakur is praying, when will that day come that I receive the mercy of my Guru, of Sri Nityananda Prabhu? And then all of these anarthas, these desires in the material world, they'll become very, very insignificant. Like that. Purification. So someone who has accepted this pathway to perform Vaidhi Bhakti, regulated practice, then gradually, they will advance step by step by step. Obstacles will come. Obstacles will come in our pathway. We will all have to undergo many different tests, many different obstacles. But if we stay the course, and we stay without deviating on the course given by our acharyas, we will be successful. Absolutely, we will be successful. It is guaranteed. Simply sincerity is required. And even if you go off course, then come back on the course. And you go off course again, come back on the course. This is what our acharyas have given to us, how we can advance in bhakti. And we see anyone who does this, then gradually, they will experience that I'm going forward. Even though I'm so unqualified, even though I'm wretched and fallen person, conditioned soul in this world, even though I have so many anarthas, but my gurus are so merciful, they're helping me, and I'm moving forward step by step by step. So we will experience that in our spiritual life. This Krishna consciousness, Bhakti Yoga, it is a real process. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is telling in the 9th chapter, Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam, Pavitram Idam Uttamam. This transcendental knowledge, it is the king of all knowledge. Raja Vidya, king, Raja. Raja Guhyam, it is the most confidential knowledge. Pavitram Idam Uttamam, it is the top, most purifying. Pavitram means purifying. Pratyaksha avagamam dharmyam, it is directly experienced. Pratyaksha, that means your own direct experience. It is the transcendental pathway of dharma which is directly experienced by your soul, your atma. Pratyaksha avagamam dharmyam susukam kartum avyayam. It is Susukam means full of joy. Susukam. Kartam. Joyfully performed. And avyayam. Never diminishes, never deteriorates. Always increasing, increasing. This is the pathway. Bhakti Yoga. So this book of Rupa Goswami's, it is the description of that pathway, of all the different levels and everything that you need to know in order to advance in Bhakti Yoga. But in this book, 5 activities have been told to be chief amongst all the 64 activities of Bhakti. There are 5. That if someone does them, they're so powerful. In fact, these 5 are repeated twice in Rupa Goswami's book. And they're so powerful that if one does even one of them very intensively, can attain prema. It is possible. So better to do all 5. The more darts that you throw, you might hit the target, right? So what are those 5? Sadhu Sangha, Nam Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravan, Mathuravasa, Shri Murtir, Shraddhaya Sevan. What is that? Sadhu Sangha, we already mentioned. Associating in your life with sadhus. That's why Srila Prabhupada made this Krishna consciousness movement, started temples, and brought so many souls to live together in a spiritual place, an atmosphere, ashram, spiritual temple, where everyone is together practicing this pathway of Bhakti Yoga. So, in that atmosphere, one can find the association of other persons called sadhus. And gradually one can also find the association of very advanced, elevated, very senior Vaishnava personalities. So all this, the Vedic literatures are proclaiming that the association of sadhus is so beneficial and so important that the Vedas are crying out this message. Associate with sadhus. Associate with sadhus. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastrikoi. All the Shastras, they're giving this message. Lava Matra, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. Oh, even if one gets a very tiny amount of such pure association, he can attain all perfection. All sarvasiddhi, all perfection. Therefore, Sadhu Sangha is the first one on the 5 list of 5. Sadhu Sangha. Nam Kirtan. What is Nam Kirtan? Number 2. Chanting Nam. Nam means all the transcendental holy names of Krishna. Gopal, Govinda, Ram, Sri Madhusudan, Yasomati Nandana, Brajabaranagara. All hundreds of different names of Krishna. And especially the Mahamantra, which is the supreme mantra for chanting the names of the Lord. Harinam Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is the most beneficial practice in the Kali Yuga. Those who are fortunate to hear this mantra, to come into the association of sadhus, and to take up the chanting of this mantra in their life, they're the most fortunate people in the world. Someone who's living on this planet now and takes up the chanting of the holy names of Krishna in the association of the Vaishnavas, they are more fortunate than any other human beings anywhere on this planet or even in the universe. Why? Because they're living the life that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has prescribed. They will very soon, they will attain perfection. They will go to the spiritual world. Back to home. Back to Godhead. That was the theme. Srila Prabhupada came to give this message. Now, come home, to the home of your soul. Back to home, back to Godhead. That is this movement, to bring everyone there. Srila Prabhupada said, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has descended from the very topmost place in the whole creation. He did not come even from Vaikuntha. And even he did not come only from Goloka, the eternal spiritual planet, lotus flower shaped planet in the spiritual world. He came not even from the inner part, the surrounding area of the inner part, such as Dwarka and Mathura, but he came from the central place, Goloka Braj, the eternal topmost place, the eternal residence of Sri Krishna in his most intimate feature as the son of Nanda Maharaj, the son of Mother Yashoda. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came from there, Srila Prabhupada said. He came here from that topmost place to bring everyone there. It is like an express train. Srila Sridhar Maharaj used to use this example. You want to go quickly to any destination, then take the express train. That does not stop and stop and stop. Just go direct. This is the express train to Goloka Braj. Will you want to go?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you want to go?
Yes.
Yes. You will know how much you want to go if you hear about that place. You have to hear about that. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada, in the very beginning of the movement, he gave the Krishna book. We call it. It's titled Krishna. In big letters. Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead. What is that book? That book is 90 chapters. 90 chapters from the topmost literature that has ever appeared in this world. From the most important part of that literature, 10th part, 10th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, 18,000 verses in the entire work. And these are the best ones, 10th canto. Describing what? Where you're going to go. It's telling you where you're going to go. Where you're going to live eternally. You want to know about heaven? Everyone wants to build a staircase to heaven. We're not interested in heaven in this movement. We're not interested in heaven. Because heaven is in the material world. It's called Swargalok. You can go there and you can live there for millions of years in full happiness. Don't have to die, don't have to grow old. But eventually you have to come back. That's a bummer. Right?
It's like a vacation.
Yeah, you can go for some time, but then you have to come back. No. We're not interested in heaven. Krishna consciousness movement is not interested in heaven. We can tell that to all the Christians. No. God is not there in heaven. There you're still trying to enjoy your senses. We want to go where the supreme, beautiful person is there. The supremely attractive person of the whole creation, who attracts everyone by his beauty, by his qualities, by his flute playing. Everything about him is astonishingly attractive. That place, there's only one destination. That is called Braj, Goloka Braj, Vrindavan. And that person came down onto this planet 5,000 years ago. This is no myth. This is not mythology. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the authentic literature and record of this. Authentic record. Very authoritative. Topmost poetry describing Krishna's life on this planet 5,000 years ago. Read it. Read that book and learn about that Supreme Personality and who he is, what he looks like, who does he associate with. We know everything about him. Why? Because he himself came here and showed us. It's all recorded. So the Krishna consciousness movement is going there only. Express train, non-stop, Goloka Braj. And how are you going to go there? Harinam, 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 Eva Kevalam. Kaloa nastyeva, 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 gatir anyata. No other way. You can try any other way you want, but in Kali Yuga, you won't succeed. Because in Kali Yuga, only chanting the Harinam Mahamantra, chanting the holy names of Krishna. It says 3 times, Harinam, 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 Eva Kevalam. Only way. Kaloa nasteva, nasteva, nasteva. No other way, no other way, no other way. Oh, you people are fanatics. You're so aggressive, telling everyone no other way than this way. No, we're not fanatical. We're realistic. You can try it yourself even. And you will come to this conclusion eventually, maybe after a few lifetimes. But we're not waiting, because our gurus have already concluded everything, made everything very clear, very straight. And if someone practices this, they will achieve the result. Millions and millions of devotees have achieved this result. So we have no doubt. There is no doubt. We have our Shraddha, and therefore we follow. Sadhu Sangha, Nam Kirtan, number 3, Bhagavat Shravan, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Studying the whole Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of who? Those who relish and taste it. They're called Rasik Vaishnavas. Hearing from them and studying in their association. And what I just told, this book, Krishna, this is Srimad Bhagavatam. So read that book. Bhagavat Shravan, Maturavas. Maturavas means, now where are you going to live? Where are you going to live? You have to live in the holy Dham, the holy place where Krishna appeared. Does that mean that you have to uproot yourself from living in Eugene and transfer over there? It depends. It may be. But at least you should live there in your mind. In your mind and in your heart. You should live there in that place. Vrindavan, Navadvip, the places of the Lord's pastimes. That is called Maturavas. So that's one of the 5 most important. If you cannot live there physically, you should live there mentally, in your mind and heart. And then the number 5. Shri Murtir Shraddhaya Sevan. This is called Shri Murti. The beautiful forms of the Lord, as described in the Vedic literatures. This is Archa Vigraha. These forms of the Lord mercifully manifest here in this world to reciprocate with the devotee's love. And therefore, in every culture of Vedic knowledge, there are temples with the deity of the Lord. And the Lord is installed by the great Vaishnavas. And now the devotees worship. They worship the Lord as the master of the household, as the master of all the devotees. And they lovingly serve and decorate and cook for Him. Everything they do in their life is dedicated to the Lord. This is very powerful for the Vaishnavas, to serve the Lord with faith. Shraddhaya Sevan. So, if someone does these, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Prem can arise within the heart. So our lifestyle is always trying to have these 5 very prominent in our life, and many, many other devotional practices. but especially we have to get our dosages of these 5 very regularly. Then our spiritual life will go along smoothly and quickly, and we will feel that yes, I'm going in this direction of the supreme destination. We will have great hope. Srila Prabhupada said this Krishna consciousness movement is giving great hope to the whole world, that they can all go back to Godhead, back to home, back to Godhead. So we are very indebted to our acharyas for giving us these transcendental literatures, and we will be discussing more in the coming days. So I'm finishing my short presentation here on this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu, and offering my pranams at the lotus feet of Hari Guru and Vaishnavas, and of the author, Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sri Rupa Goswami Pad. Gaur Premanand.
Hari
So we have an arti, huh?